One busy morning in the city of Brown, a young man named Rohan stood outside his apartment with a suitcase in his hand. He kept looking at his watch anxiously. His flight was scheduled to depart soon from International Airport, and he knew he had very little time to reach there. Rohan quickly booked a taxi on his phone. Within a few minutes, a yellow taxi stopped in front of him. The driver, Suresh Kumar, greeted him with a friendly smile. "Airport?" the driver asked. "Yes," Rohan replied quickly. "I'm running late." "Don't worry," Suresh said confidently. "I'll do my best to get you there on time." Rohan placed his suitcase in the back and sat inside the taxi. As the car started moving, he felt a little relieved. The morning sun was rising over the city, and the streets were slowly filling with vehicles. At first, the journey went smoothly. The taxi moved through the streets without much trouble. Rohan leaned back in his seat, hoping he would reach the airport in time. However, after a few minutes, the taxi suddenly slowed down. Soon, it came to a complete stop. In front of them was a long line of cars, buses, and trucks. The road was completely blocked by heavy traffic. The sound of horns filled the air as impatient drivers tried to move forward. Rohan leaned forward and looked through the windshield. "Oh no," he said worriedly. "This traffic is terrible." He checked his watch again and felt even more anxious. "If we stay here, I'm going to miss my flight," he said nervously. But Suresh remained calm. "Don't worry, sir," he said. "I know this city very well. There are some smaller roads we can try." Carefully, Suresh turned the taxi into a narrow side street. The road was quieter and much less crowded. The taxi passed small houses, shops, and quiet lanes. For a moment, it seemed like they had escaped the traffic. Rohan felt hopeful again. But when they reached another intersection, they saw another line of vehicles waiting at the signal. Rohan sighed in frustration. "This traffic is everywhere," he said. Suresh thought quietly for a moment. Then he smiled. "I still have another route," he said confidently. He drove through several small streets and shortcuts, skillfully navigating through the busy city. Rohan watched the time carefully, as every minute felt important. Finally, after driving through many narrow roads, they reached the wide highway that led directly to International Airport. The road ahead was clear. Suresh pressed the accelerator, and the taxi moved quickly along the highway. Soon, the large airport building appeared in the distance. Rohan felt a huge wave of relief. A few minutes later, the taxi stopped at the departure entrance of the airport. Rohan quickly grabbed his suitcase and stepped out of the car. He checked his watch once again and realized he still had just enough time to catch his flight. "Thank you so much," he said gratefully to Suresh. "You really saved my day." Suresh smiled warmly. "Sometimes the right path and quick thinking can solve even the biggest problems," he replied. Rohan hurried into the airport and completed his check-in just in time. A little later, he boarded his flight successfully. As the airplane lifted into the sky, Rohan looked down at the city below and smiled with relief. Despite the heavy traffic and the stressful journey, he had managed to reach the airport right on time.